Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Cartoon Soup podcast. Today we're talking about a comic called Iyanu. This is our second time recording this. Fun fact, I've actually read all four volumes that are currently out, but we're just going to talk about the first volume because that's what we originally planned before we realized that we messed up with the audio. Well, when I messed up with the audio in the old version of the video. Let's just get started. So, Iyanu is living her life in the forest surrounding the outer walls of Yorubaland when one day it is discovered that she is the chosen one. After Yorubaland's ruler declares the chosen must be killed, Iyanu runs away in order to survive and discover her powers. So I only realized this recently, but in dystopians, there's a really popular trope where the quote-unquote utopian city is surrounded by walls. Like, this reminds me of another media I've consumed when I realized how popular this trope is. Even though it's a popular thing to do in dystopians, it's not something that I absolutely hate. And Mel mentioned that it reminds them of Bon.
Oh my
How do you say
god. You say
Ba Sing Se?
bong? Ba
Ba
Sing
Sing Se,
Se
right?
from Avatar
Yeah,
The Last Airbender, yeah.
not me saying bong.
Get your head out of the gutter, Marco.
Also, to be fair, in the lore pages, at the beginning of each chapter, there's like a lore page, and in one of the lore pages, it's mentioned that this story was inspired by Benin City, which had outer walls similar to the ones in Yorubaland, which is the capital of Nigeria. Mal, how do you feel about this trope?
I think it's fine. I think it's an easy way to show that there is a class disparity and that there is unrest going on. Sort of like a there is no war in Ba Sing Se situation. So it's an easy way to show that. I don't know how prevalent this is. It's pretty new to me personally. Literally, I think the only other example I have is Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I think, it's fine. If I saw it a lot in dystopian novels, then or in dystopian stories, then yeah, I would get tired of it. But because I've only seen it in like literally two places, I mean, I like it. It's still like a really easy way to show like different classes.
Simple and effective, but also it can be used a bit too much. I definitely agree with that. So the language spoken in this comic is simply called Yoruba, and I like that this comic isn't afraid to alienate its non-Yoruba audience. In the booktube space, which I'm a part of, I have a booktube channel, by the way, not to shamelessly plug, but like go check it out. But in the booktube space, we talk about a lot how like BIPOC authors have to like had to like hide their culture when writing books because publishers want them to still have like to still be accessible to white audience. A lot of authors have to show less of their culture or be like less open about their culture and like be more palatable to white audiences. And so I like how this was clearly made to like just stand on its own and to be a part of its own culture without like having that issue of trying to be palatable to white audiences. I hope this doesn't come off as me causing drama, but because I don't think it's exactly original idea. I think the glowing eyes and glowing like forehead marks reminded me a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And listen, I'm not saying they copied. I know, like this isn't an original idea, but I just found them very similar.
I feel like it's a trope, right, to have the protag who has some sort of supernatural-ish ability to also just have like usually glowing blue or white something.
Yeah, that is kind of true. Yeah, just like eyes itself are like a like a special power. So I do understand that as well. Mal, did you read the extra lore added to the start of each chapter?
Of
I feel like it
course.
gave me a greater understanding of the world in this story. In chapter three's extra lore, we learned specifically about the Yoruba people, which helped me understand the world greater. And we also got like a chapter where we learned about the government, which I also felt like was very helpful.
Yes, I did read the lore in between, as well as the timeline that they give us in the back. I read all of that, and I appreciated that they put lore into in between each of the chapters, especially with this is a world I'm not at all familiar with. I mostly do sci-fi, so the fact that they were giving me all this stuff.
They continued to give us lore in like the later volumes, which I also really appreciated. So the mentor for Yanu ends up being captured while Yanu is running away. I'm gonna be so honest, I completely expected for the mentor to just die. I feel like it's very common in like fantasy stories where like the chosen one has a mentor that the mentor always dies. So I was really surprised when that didn't happen here. And here's the thing, I was like, I'm gonna call it now that the mentor is gonna die in the further volumes, and so far it hasn't happened yet. So hey, the series is ongoing, so you know what? It can still happen. It can still happen. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, the reason she's spared, she's a sister of
Yeah.
the evil guy. That's the only reason. If she had no connection to him, 100% she'd be killed.
And speaking of which, that twist I was surprised by, and I also really enjoyed. The author really got me to hate the king really fast. I was like, the king and like some of the other government officials. I was like, wow, this author really made me hate them real quick. And you know what? The author made me hate them even more the farther we got along into the story. So I think they did a really good job with that. So good on them. I think the beginning of the story does a really amazing job at characterizing Iyanu. One of the first scenes we see her in the comic is Iyanu deciding to let a deer live because there's a fawn with the deer. It shows the character as someone who sympathizes with others, and I think it's a strong start to her as a character and the story in general.
Was anyone else getting witch hunt vibes during the part where the soldiers were sent to capture Alori and Iyanu? Like, men of power hunting down women that scare them? Tale as old as time, I guess. And I just bring up witch trials because I feel like that's sort of the most recent let's kill women event in history that I know of. But surely there are many other instances way before and after the witch trials, but that's the one that I remember. People
I
just
definitely
love
do
killing
see,
women.
yeah, I definitely do see where you're going from, where you're coming from with this. I can see the connections. I can see the connection.
I love the scene where one of the brothers was listing a handful of tragedies and was like, do you know the one thing all these events have in common? A king who tried to do things differently. And this sort of sums up the one brother's character, which is to be weak. Is to be a weak ass pussy bitch that allows Neuro to command the troops to hunt and kill a child. This really reflects how people are willing to not rock the boat out of the fear of a major backlash. What's even funnier in this situation, there's already economic unrest. I cannot conceive of a world in which killing a child who is the chosen one is going to like help them in any way shape or form. Like they're trying to kill Luke Skywalker, you know. Also, just to embarrass myself. The brother said how the kings who tried to do things differently ended in these tragedies. My first thought was JFK. My first thought yeah, was JFK's assassination. You know,
Okay, so so I forgot that Mal mentioned JFK in the last time we recorded this, and Mal's like, "Oh, I just looked into my JFK line." I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Now I'm
mhm,
really curious what you mean.
mhm, yeah,
I am speechless.
yeah. JFK tried to do things differently. He was assassinated. Abraham Lincoln, though he wasn't as revolutionary as we were taught in school, he still legally freed the slaves. And guess what? Shot during a play. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of like Martin Luther King Jr. or or Malcolm X. No, JFK.
I love how I kind of love how that was your first thought, though.
I
Actually, I
don't.
don't.
I don't. No one does.
I
No one
don't.
does. No, I should be condemned for that. The quickness in which B was willing to rob a corpse, like, didn't even search for a pulse, went straight for her bow. I honestly can't fault him for that. They were really laying it on thick with Neuro just being the straight up evil villain. But then they kind of alluded to a tragic or troubled childhood with the reveal of his sister and how he was a scared little baby. I was really praying for a no nonsense evil dude. I didn't want a sad backstory. I wanted him to just be a piece of shit. Marco, what kind of villain do you prefer? The one that's like made or the one that just is?
I think it really depends. For me, if they're gonna be like a character who's made to be evil, I think you can still have them like have this is why they're evil, but you can't use that as an excuse for why they're evil. You know, I still want them to like be evil and get like the consequences for their actions, you know? At least somewhat.
Yeah, I think you can be so cunty if you're just the evil guy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Ursula. I feel like one of the most cuntiest like evil villains ever.
And that's part of the reason why I also like those characters. And why when it comes to like because I feel like most of the times it's easier to do a character that's just straight up evil, you know?
Hmm. And it's
And I feel like
fun.
that yeah, yeah, and I feel like that's why they're more successful most of the
I
time.
don't even think I like when the main villain is has like a tragic backstory. Cause like the villains that have tragic backstories, I feel like they're usually like worse. They're usually just like more crueler, at least with my experience. I just feel like they're meaner than the villains who just are. I feel like I'm being gaslit when I see a villain who's like really cruel, but people are like, but they had like a sad childhood. I don't care. Now, not to bring it back to Shira, but like in Shira, right? We have Hordak. Put your hand down. We have Hordak, who's the main villain, right? But then we have Catra, and she is so complex and she is so evil, and I absolutely love her. But she's not like, I mean, she's Adora's main villain, but she's not like the main like story plot villain. And I absolutely love that she's complex. And I absolutely love that she had a horrible childhood, and you know what? She turned out good. Yes.
Can I just say I love how much we bring up Shira. I feel like that is such a such a foundational thing for us.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't think we bring it up enough.
Okay.
I think we can bring it
I
up
guess
more.
we have to bring it up more. I
Yeah,
guess we have to bring it up more.
we do. We do.
But yeah, I feel like to comment off of that, I feel like you can have characters who do have bad backstories to explain their terribleness, but there needs to be more than just them. I feel like the more variety of villains you have, the more success you end up having,
Mhm.
which is part of the reason why I do end up liking Catra. Well, I still kind of don't like Hordak as a character, but you know.
No one does. Also, with what you said with like more villains being in there, I also feel like I think to have a successful villain with a tragic backstory, you need people to like counterbalance them. Like with Catra, we have Trapta and Scorpia, right? And they like counterbalance her. I think if you just have a full on like evil, horrible person, it's like, why is there no one else around them? Like, why is everyone their yes man? You know? Oh, you know what I love seeing? The working class knowing their worth and pulsing the means of production until their demands of equity are met. Couldn't be us, but it's nice to see.
Anyways, I have read the future volumes. I personally think they're really good. I think I've given every volume 4 stars. The first arc has completed. Also, fun fact, Iyanu does get a pet leopard. Mal was like, "Oh my god, that's so slay," and I think that is really slay. So
Wait,
check it out, you guys.
like that show. What is it?
What?
Like
Oh, you mean oh, Age of Wonder or something? No, no. What's it called?
Kippa?
Yeah, Kip. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but it
Yeah.
does remind me of that. Yeah. Kipo.
Play.
Kipo?
Hippo.
Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beast. The only similarity is that they have a pet leopard, but other than that, they're pretty different.
You're telling me Kippo's eyes don't light up?
Yeah, I guess I am. I guess I am. And I'm
Damn.
also telling you, Ianu's skin isn't purple, so you know. Yeah, overall, I think it's a really nice comic. I'm really excited to see Volume 5. I'm pretty sure it's coming out this year. It's starting a new arc, so I'm excited to read that. Yeah, Mal, what are your thoughts?
Going into this graphic novel, I thought it was going to be a fun action adventure story about a girl with powers. I was not expecting political intrigue or social commentary, but I'm glad that was there. I also love the unique art style. I don't think either of us brought that up. I have never seen this kind of art style in a graphic novel. I also loved how they lore dumped in between chapters and also gave a crash course timeline in the back. And this actually made me excited to watch the animated adaptation. I don't know how faithful it is to the graphic novel, but I do know that a story and a world like this would translate very well into the medium of animation.
Yeah, I am really curious what they're gonna do with the show. I'm wondering because like the comic is clearly still ongoing, so I wonder if it's only gonna cover the first arc and then be done like that. Anyways, you guys, that's our thoughts on Iyanu, Child of Wonder. Our socials are in the description. We have a gaming channel. Check that out. That's everything. Goodbye. Yes, heart. Anyways, goodbye.